It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show.
Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 519. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
Hi.
Tam.
This statement is false.
And Thalen.
The previous statement was false.
Are any of the statements true?
At least one of them.
One must be. Where are the gems?
What's your favorite color?
So when this show is actually published, it will be Easter. So happy Easter, folks. Also, last week we recorded on the 11th anniversary of AggroChat, but I totally did not even pay attention to it. So that was a thing.
Yay.
Terribly disappointed in us.
And
That checks
Thursday was the 16th anniversary of my blog, and I also didn't realize that until a day late. So
Blah,
What even
blah,
is
blah.
time?
time is a flat circle. True Detective taught us that. So this week, Last Epoch released the Tombs of the Erased 1.2 expansion, and my goodness, is it a banger.
Yay.
And I really have to play it. I can't believe that I managed to get distracted from it, but I'm into it.
So one of the funniest pieces to talk about how good this is, like I read Reddit, which is sometimes a mistake, and on the Last Epoch Reddit, someone remarked at how quiet it is around here. Everyone must be enjoying the patch.
Everybody's busy.
Yeah, it's what a difference a good patch makes. Like, and honestly, like for the most part, it was pretty smooth other than about an hour of login difficulties. Their login server got hugged to death.
Yeah, I've had a couple of times where I've been booted from the servers, like maybe 2 in the last 2 days, and was able to get right back in and didn't have any problems after that. So I call that a huge success.
I don't know if I'm just imagining this, but it feels like there's been another slight facelift to a lot of the game, and like some of the motion feels more smooth. A lot of the graphical things feel a little bit prettier. I know they recently upgraded engines as part of this, so that may be part of it.
Yeah, there were definitely some graphical updates that they talked about, like the transitions and the monoliths, and everything is much prettier there.
Yeah, all they need to do is update their models, their player models. But that I think that's on their roadmap for at some point. Like the big part of this patch was endgame changes, because like up until this point, the endgame for Last Epoch has been pretty Spartan, and most everything that's associated with this was in-game changes, and my goodness, there's so much in-game. And I'm not yet to empowered monoliths because I've been having too much fun in normal monoliths, which is not a thing that I think I've ever been able to say previously.
So my joke coming on is I got a very subtle nerf, which is that I would usually just go to halfway through chapter 5 and then immediately jump into the first monolith with the assumption that I'll get a key and do Temporal Sanctum. And then I can skip like most of the story because monoliths are easy, right? Like even if it's a level 58 monolith, I'm level 35, I can probably power through, not worry about anything. That is false now.
Yeah, there's so much rippy content that's been added with this patch.
Like it's probably fine if you're level 58.
Yep.
But like, yeah, there's a bunch of hard stuff that gives juicy rewards and there's a bunch of interesting things. And I should never go into a Weaver's Den underleveled.
So one of the general things that I made this comment when I started monos is up until this point, one of the things that's psychologically been a problem with me with Last Epoch is I hated that if you failed a mono that you lost the bonus reward. There was just something psychological about that that really bugged me. However, that accounts for so little loot now compared to all of the other systems that are generating tons of loot in a monolith that I no longer care at all, not even a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I might get a little frustrated if there's a specific, like, oh, I was looking for a unique bow and I screwed up and lost that reward. I will
Right.
be slightly annoyed. But yeah, agreed. Like between Nemesis and just all the champion mobs and loot lizards and all of the things you can do with the Weaver's tree and upgrading things. Like, there's a lot of paths to loot now.
Well, and the woven echoes are really fun. Like they add a lot of just pure fun to the mapping experience. So essentially, you run a cemetery, and at the end of the cemetery, it presents you with the ability to craft your echo or your timeline, where it starts showing all these spots that are currently empty that are spawnable locations in your timeline, and you can just slot one of your woven echoes maps into there and keep doing that for as many of them as you have. And you can buy more echoes from the faction vendor if you want, but they all kind of do a thing. They have themes to them. And one of my favorite ones is basically just you spawn into a map and there's like 50 shrines. Every few inches on the screen is another shrine. So you could just zoom from shrine to shrine to shrine and end up with these crazy stacked buffs as you spread through the map, and inevitably you're going to hit a loot lizard shrine, and then you can chase them down and get like this big loot explosion, and they're a heck of a lot of fun. There's another one that is just a tower of nemesis eggs.
That's my favorite one. Just here is a tower with like 6 or 7 levels, and every level has a nemesis on it. Have fun.
Yeah, and then you have a boss at the top that has pretty juicy rewards too. There's some of these that are like boss fights that you can slot into your timeline, and like they're pretty fun.
There's some that are basically just a regular like monolith echo, right? Like there's a series of them that are pretty much just, run a normal map, but they'll have some kind of specific rewards. So, this one will end up giving you rewards for rogue, or this one will give you rewards for sentinel. So you can tailor the maps to the loot that you want, which is nice. And I also enjoy there's a few that will modify the maps around it. So if you run this one, sometimes it will spread things to the other maps around it. Sometimes I ran one today that was you get the rewards for all of the echoes surrounding it. So instead of just getting your one set of rewards, you can get up to like 6 of them. So that was pretty cool. And I was testing it to see if it like completed those echoes or got rid of the rewards from those. Nope, you could still run them and get the rewards again. And if you had to pass through one to get to that one, So you had already gotten the rewards from one of those 6. It's okay. It still gave you the rewards for that one again too. I was very, very, very pleased how generous they were with it.
Well, and the Weaver's Tree also is really cool, which is basically the atlas for mapping in Last Epoch. Like the coolest thing are the imprint nodes. So at various points on your tree, you can unlock this node, which is basically like an item slot, and you drag each of them handle like 2 different types of items. So like one might be armor or weapon, one might be jewelry or weapon, one might be armor or jewelry, etc., etc., etc. And you just literally drag an item into that slot and it takes a snapshot of that item. And when they were talking about this, I assumed it was going to be pretty vague. So, like, if I snapshotted a sword, I assumed that it would just drop swords, right? It wouldn't drop that exact sword. So I was curious and I put a unique in there. And a few seconds later, 2 of those uniques dropped. So if you need a unique for your build, you can just socket it in there and you're going to see more of them.
Does that mean
that was spell luck? But
can I socket in a specific base?
Yes.
Yeah, so I used one of mine for something that I was trying to get exalted weapons, and so I put in a bow that had the stats that I wanted, and a couple minutes later, and I was using that bow. So that's the other thing. It doesn't take it out of your inventory. It just takes a snapshot of it, and you can keep using it, which is also great. So I put my bow in there, and then a couple minutes later, I got a bow that dropped that was almost the same bow, same base, same stats, but everything had rolled higher, and so it was just a straight up upgrade. It felt really good.
That sounds both good, but more importantly, fun.
Yeah, and there's also these imprint nodes where you can just put a woven echo on the map. And what that means is organically, without you having to place them, those echoes will start showing up in timeline. So if there's a couple of them that you really like to run, like I've got the Nemesis one and I've got the Shrines one. And for whatever reason, the Shrines one seems to spawn way more commonly than the Nemesis one. But yeah, they'll just randomly show up on your timeline without you having to specifically put that echo on, or that woven echo on your timeline. And then like a lot of the nodes are just fun. So like there's a node called Gilded Tails where, so normally only the white colored unique loot lizards drop guaranteed uniques. However, if you spec into Gilded Tails, every loot lizard you fight is going to drop at least one unique. And it doesn't matter what type. They drop their normal rewards, but they always drop at least one unique. So by doing that, that makes loot lizards feel infinitely better.
And they said that they were nerfing the number of loot lizards in this patch. And maybe that is true, but there are lizard shrines all over the place. And there are also nodes on the tree that will spawn loot lizards when you're opening chests in Echoes. So there's still so many lizards. It's it's so good.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And like it's been really cool to watch everyone else seemingly reacting well to it as well. Like it's been fun to kind of watch folks realize, oh yeah, no, this is an awesome patch.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the champion mobs. They were rough at the beginning, at like the start of the campaign. I was a little nervous because they took a minute to fight. But once I got some gear and got a build going, they're fine. They're fun to fight. They drop interesting loot, and you can modify the heck out of them with the Weaver's Tree. You can get double champions. You can have them guaranteed to drop various different kinds of loot. You can have them spawn when other things spawn on your map. So if you're bored of the exiled mages, you can have a champion spawn every time a mage spawns. Yeah, I have been enjoying those. Just a little bit of extra spice as you're rolling around. And that doesn't even get into the actual cemeteries and tombs.
Yeah, so cemeteries and tombs are the first time they have been attempting to use procedural tech in the game. Because like right now, it's kind of like Path of Exile, where there are X number of finite layouts to a map, and you get one of those whenever you zone into an area. Whereas this is like them attempting to do, Diablo randomized chunk spawning, layouts, and it works really good. Like there's some weirdities occasionally. Like the only thing that kind of annoys me is there's sometimes where visually you're blocked by a wall where you can't hardly see what you're fighting, but that's to be expected. But they're really good. Like they're like I look forward to seeing them use this same stuff for other things.
And one of my favorite parts is that the cemeteries are sort of a whole map to themselves, and the tombs are a side content that can spawn in any other map, and
which is most of them.
Which is most of them. But I absolutely love that when you spawn into a map and you start killing stuff, if there is a tomb in there, you will find cocoons pretty quickly. There's a lot of them. And when you kill a cocoon, it buffs a nearby enemy and modifies its loot and its abilities. But more importantly, it's a huge flag that says, oh, hey, there's a tomb somewhere on this map, so that you don't miss it.
And like the Nemesis eggs kind of do this too when you get close to them, but it would be lovely if you got some kind of a broad message that, hey, there is a treasure chest and there is a rogue exile and there is a Nemesis egg in this map. Go find them. Because that is one of the things that PoE2 recently added was on the sidebar. There's now icons for all of the bonus content that appears in that map, so that if you care about doing expedition, you can see that there's an expedition that spawned in it somewhere, so go find it. It would be cool to get something like that in Last Epoch that says, like, these are the things that are in this map.
Also, were rune wardens a thing before?
No.
I didn't, yeah, so...
No, that's a weird thing when I first encountered them.
Yeah, and I get multiple of them in maps sometimes. I got confused the first time. But yeah, Rune Warden is just an enemy, and when you kill it, it spawns a mage prison. So you can fight the mage if you want.
Yeah, I think they can basically spawn any place a champion could spawn. Because they're marked on the map the same as champions, except for they've got a blue devil horn icon instead of a red devil horn icon.
Right.
I also don't remember exiled mages yelling at me quite so much. Because like they legitimately sound to me like Dr. Weird from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And they're just yelling at me constantly the entire time I'm fighting them.
Behold, more corn.
Behold, this thing. Yeah, it's I don't know, like this expansion is packed with fun.
It's really, really fun. I do think, like, I am still getting through my first monolith, and then I'm gonna go back and do the rest of the campaign and stuff. But like, just seeing what's in the early monoliths and like some of the interesting things going on, it has me really excited for the monolith process.
Yeah,
What-
I mean, I've not made it to empowered yet because I'm having actual fun with normal monos.
What's everyone's builds they're running?
I'm messing with Heartseeker because it's shiny and new. And it was a lot of fun. I got 2 empowered monos, and now I'm trying to figure out how I can get the rest of the pieces that I need for this build, because it's maybe a little less powerful than I would like it to be starting empowered monos. So either I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time farming for a few extra pieces, or I might try messing around with something else. We'll see.
I have built Warpath for the 6th time, but the thing is like every single one of these characters has been different in what I was doing, and the like structurally it is a very similar build to what I played last league, but mechanically like there's a bunch of changes that I've made to it. I'm leaning more heavily into bleed damage, which gets converted to ignite, because it seems like you can get more bleed chance on an item than you can ignite chance, or at least just so far. But it also started because I ended up picking up a copy of Taste of Blood from the very first Nemesis egg that has a bajillion bleed chance on it and health on melee hit, and I've just been running with that because it was so much more powerful than anything I had access to at the time. And I didn't luck into an early Firestarter's Torch, so I'm not doing that right now, and instead I spec'd Smite to do Ignite Prolif instead of my weapon doing the Ignite Prolif. But also, I recently got Rule of Simoon, which are these gloves that cause you to spawn fire tornadoes, and the fire tornadoes do fire resistant shred. And last time I played this character, I happened into those and was just running them because fire tornadoes look cool, but they actually really do a lot, because I'm also deeper into divine bolts than I was previously. So basically, like every time I hit anything, I'm firing off like 4 divine bolts, which go off to the corners of the maps. But what I'm realizing is a lot of times those divine bolts are spawning fire tornadoes on packs I haven't got to yet. So by the time I actually get to the pack, it's already completely removed its fire resistance, and I can just roll over top of them. I mean, and in general, I'm getting 50 to 60 stacks of Ignite on a target that stays around for any length of time. So yeah, like this is a different structural version of the same thing I've done several times. And it's wild to me that this is a game that you can build essentially the same character 6 different times, and it's different each time. Like that is not true for a lot of other ARPGs.
I am doing a build which is the Spellblade build, but it's all frost this time. Last time I did lightning, so now I'm doing frost.
So you're going heavy into Frostclaw?
I mean, all of these builds were going heavy into Frostclaw, but Frostclaw can Frostclaw be changed to lightning?
I don't know. I think everything can basically has 2 elements
but you don't want to.
Yeah, generally speaking, every ability has like 2 elements it can turn into other than the base element. So how much freeze are you building up on things? Are you actually playing cold, or are you converting it to something else?
No, I'm playing cold. I am freezing a lot.
See, that has to be helping at least a little bit with your bad ideas. Because if you can freeze things, like I at least notice whenever I have an ice beetle shrine following me around that it's constantly freezing things for me. So it does make me kind of want to play a cold build at some point.
It's definitely working. Like, I am definitely causing freeze. The problem is range things are an issue.
Is your basic Mana Strike?
My basic is Mana Strike, but I am not using the ranged Mana Strike.
Oh, why though?
Because then you get
So-
less mana from it.
It's so good.
Build mana regen so you don't need the mana?
Oh, I use mana.
'Cause
I've
actually,
also built.
don't you benefit from mana spent?
Yes, I benefit from mana spent.
I actually had to build mana regen this time because
I-
I was throwing out too many smites and it was draining my mana. And if I have reduced the cost of Warpath to 1, which is as low as you can get it.
Oh, are you not directly casting Smite?
No, I am proccing smite.
I was about to say, how is Smite costing you mana?
I am proccing smite. I am never casting smite.
That's the build. The next build I want to do is only casting Smite. Well, Smite and Judgment. Judgment to make sure my aura is up.
I really want to try shield throw at some point. If I build a Forge Guard, I will probably go shield throw.
If I build a Forge Guard, it's Johnny 2 Shields. Because I've wanted to build Johnny 2 Shields for a while.
I don't know that I've gotten one of those yet. If I get a 0 LP one, I will earmark it for you.
Great.
Are you playing COF?
I'm going to play COF, yeah.
Okay. Ammo is joining us in Last Epoch Shenanigans, and something important once you get there is you are asked to make a choice between one of two factions. There's
Okay.
Circle of Fortune, and there's Merchant's Guild. Merchant's Guild is the faction that gives you access to the auction house. So basically, you can buy stuff from other players, you can sell stuff to other players.
No, okay.
Circle of Fortune gives you so much more loot. Like, you can never buy anything with it from anybody else. You can technically trade with other COF members, but you have to build up resonance with them. So you have to play for 30 minutes to an hour until a resonance forms. And it's like literally an item that drops on the ground. And then you can use that to gift an item to that player. So it's cool if I get something that somebody else hasn't seen. Just have to play with that person for a while so that you can hand it off to them. But
you can also
Okay.
trade anything that drops while you are playing with someone.
right.
Yes.
So if you're in the same party, but like this was always the thing that annoyed me about Diablo 3 is inevitably when Grace and I did a league start, we would play the first night together and then the next day it would take us a while to actually link up. And inevitably something would drop that one of us needed when the other one wasn't there. And it was always
Every
kind of a
time.
pain. Whereas this, I can just throw it aside in my bank and then group up for a while and eventually trade it across and life's good.
Mm-hmm.
But I highly suggest COF because it does some shenanigans with the loot tables. Like it makes it more likely for you to get higher rolled versions. There's one of them that like when a single piece of a set drops, the entire set drops.
Okay.
COF is so good.
Yeah, it's
And
just
prophecies are another fun piece of content that you just don't get if you're not in COF. Prophecies let you choose, like, okay, here's a bunch of different options for weapons. I'm going to choose 5 unique bows are going to drop if I kill this boss on this timeline. And you go kill the boss on the timeline, 5 unique bows drop. Next time you go back and you have a different set of choices. Maybe a bunch of yellow weapons are going to drop if I kill 2 mages. Okay. Like you just get to keep choosing which content and which loot. And it's
Nice.
fun. It's fun to go chase them around.
yeah, like you can't just buy the exact item that you need off of the market because you're locking away access to those systems. However, you can kind of target farm those things, and it's more interesting to have it drop on its own. Like I play Trade League in Path of Exile, and I engage in Trade League, but I would rather play that game without doing that but I don't feel like I have the PhD in crafting required to do that, or really know how to farm the items successfully enough to do that. So I have to play trade. Whereas this game, I don't feel like I ever need to engage with trade to succeed in a character.
Okay.
And the ridiculous loot from COF just also plays with the ridiculous loot from the Weaver's Tree.
Yeah.
And it's good. It satisfies my brain. I
Yeah.
see the explosion of loot.
I've had to get really strict with my loot filter because it was just too much stuff.
That's such a good feeling.
But the other thing is you can build your own loot filter without reading a man page.
Yeah. Like I like that it's super easy to just like hit Shift F and it pops up in your loot filter and you can adjust it on the fly. Like I decided I didn't need 5 bank tabs full of idols earlier. So I really ratcheted down my loot filter for idols and then dropped them all on the ground and only picked back up the ones that hit the loot filter again.
I'm sure all of this will make much more sense once I understand everything better, but it sounds cool. I like loot explosions. I'm looking forward to that.
How far did you get?
I went to save the dude and he just got carried off by the Osprix guy.
Oh, okay. So you're just
I'm
barely
super yeah. This is like the most time I've really had to sit down and play it. So yeah, I'm super fresh.
There's also new story quests.
There's new hidden areas.
I'm told by Ash that these are in fact old. It's just they put them back in the game. Upper District used to not exist. Or it may have existed, but there was nothing there, and there was no reason to go there. But now there are quests that take you to Upper District. And let me tell you, I did not realize how much muscle memory I had in this game until I was like, wait, I shouldn't have a quest at this point because, like, I'm following the path. I know exactly what I'm doing. Why do I still have a quest?
Because there's an item that got removed from the game that they decided to put back, and they added a new quest for it.
I am glad they added a new quest because what it used to be is you were asked to go retrieve the same item by 2 different people. And depending on who you turned in at, dictated which item you got. But I never could remember who gave what.
Yep.
So it's just like in PoE, I'm sorry, I've only ever given the feather to that one lady that's marginally closer to where I spawn in.
She's on the screen when you show up, so
exactly. I've never given it to the other dude. I'm sorry.
He doesn't deserve it anyway, so it's fine.
I don't like either of those people.
I mean, yes.
Okay, so this is a testament to how lazy I can be. On Saturday mornings, I go get donuts from the donut shop, and I almost always order sausage rolls just because saying jalapeno sausage rolls is 5 extra syllables that I have to say in the morning. So if there's a NPC on screen, I'm going to take that one without having to go somewhere else. But the problem is there was one that was absolutely the correct choice. The gloves that give you elemental leech. I don't know that there's another way to get elemental leech at that level, and you can technically get a better version of those gloves, but it requires you doing a dungeon. And you know what nobody wants to do? A dungeon.
Hey, 2 keys and you can just go straight to the boss.
It's true. I did that. I had a prophecy to go to one of the dungeons and I just portaled straight to the boss and it was great. It was beautiful.
Oh, hey, but also if you get a prophecy that says that you have to kill enemies in a dungeon, you can also just add a bunch of extra loot lizards to it so you're not bored.
Right. Yeah.
I like that this game was like, what if we made our game more fun?
Right?
There's been a lot of commentary of like, oh, I remember what it was like to have fun in a video game now. I don't know. I'm super impressed, and like I'm really impressed that for the most part, other than like I said, 30 minutes to an hour worth of login errors, it's been fairly rock solid. They've released a couple hot fixes. They had one earlier today. I have no idea what it was for. Occasionally they'll tell you that you need to log out and back in.
I do have to say, I find it at least somewhat validating that even Zizarin, a person who is fairly hardcore at these games, is like, actually, I'm just going to go COF because Merchant's Guild is not as fun.
Yup. And that's really like the answer. Like it's just not as fun.
I found it interesting in one of the hype interviews that they did leading up to this, that they said that they were happy with the balance of players between merchants and COF. Because from my biased perspective, all the people that I interact with are largely COF, just a small portion in Merchants Guild. And so I was, I guess, pleased and a little bit surprised that they were happy with the balance. Now, that doesn't mean it's an even balance, but it meant that there's enough people in Merchants Guild to make it function. And I hope that it stays that way, because I don't really want to messing with COF because it's really fun.
Well, like in one of the interviews, they actually said that they were looking at improving COF. And to me, like, it seems like it's the obvious choice. But apparently there's a lot of people that go Merchants Guild.
I mean, Merchants Guild is probably stronger for one character.
Yeah, I feel like I can understand their player distribution and how that would lead to the kinds of things that they're looking for. Because like it's going to be a very particular sort of player that wants to go Merchants Guild and a very particular player that's going to want to go COF. And I feel like they actively, unlike some other games I could name, actively want both of those to be healthy because they like both of those player types.
I mean, like, I realize I've built this same basic character several times, but I do find it deeply refreshing that I can just kind of YOLO my way through a character. And it doesn't matter, like, any other character I build, I can also kind of just YOLO my way through building it. The talent choices are pretty well written. They explain clearly what's going on, especially now with Sentinel changes. A lot of them have, God, I forget what they call them, but basically the breakpoints where you get something special if you go this many points into it. So now it gives you some clear guidance that, oh, I want to put 5 points in this, even though it's an 8-point talent. I don't need the rest of the 3 points. Like, I got my thing that I wanted from here, so now I can move on down the line. And I'm hoping, like, given enough time, that they put those same thresholds in the other classes. I think Necromancer is probably one of the ones that's lacking a lot of that.
Yeah, like Rogue is fine. It has a bit of that, but yeah, all that Acolyte stuff it's due for a refresh.
Like, I think right now, probably my glaring critique is that they just upgraded the graphics engine, so maybe the thing that they should really consider doing is updating the character models so that players can maybe have some choice there. Because, like, I have been a little propaganda machine for this game this week, and the biggest complaint and the reason why I've had friends turn their nose up at it is because they're used to Diablo 3 and Diablo 4, where you can actually choose a gender with your character, which, in the grand scheme of ARPGs as a whole, having gender locked characters is the norm, unfortunately. But maybe it's time for them not to do that.
I would be extremely here for them actually giving some options. At this point, I love this game too much to be super mad about it, but absolutely, I would like to have the choice if it was possible.
Yeah. Yeah, like I've had several friends say, nope, I do not want to play an old man.
I mean, that's fair. I almost never play the old man. It's saying it's definitely telling that I gravitate towards playing either the rogue or the acolyte or the primalist, and even though the primalist is a dude, I spend all of my time as a tree, so who cares?
Yeah. I know they've said that that's kind of on their roadmap, but I really hope that it maybe gets some more, because I think a lot of the weirdness and jank with some of their stuff is just that they have really old character models that, no longer match the quality of the rest of the game. Anyway, what is Lorelei and the Laser Eyes?
Amazing is what it is. This game, if I had played this game last year when it came out, this would have been my game of the year, no question. It So the basic framework of Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is the seventh guest.
Okay.
You are a character exploring a large building. In this case, it's an old hotel. Solving puzzles to gain access to rooms, to learn information about the story, and to help you solve other puzzles. But
Yes.
And the story is fascinating, and this, I think, this game has a lot to say about art and interactivity in art. It gets a little meta at times, and I don't know how much more to say about it for fear of spoiling things.
I understand this issue.
Yep.
But it is so good. It took me like 2 days of playing to play through the story, to play through the game, and like this is a game I want to go back and play through this again to experience all the story and see the clues, knowing where it all leads to see like how it all fits together, again. And the puzzles are remarkably well done. It's mostly the main type of puzzle is gaining access to a new room, usually by figuring out the combination to a lock. A lot of them are numerical combinations. Some of them, are symbols or some other things. But very, very rarely did I look at a puzzle and have no idea whatsoever where to start to try and figure out this puzzle. There's always something that's like I could look at and say, okay, this means something. I need to find something that links up to this and follow that thread. Very early in the game, there are 5 rooms, I think 5, that have, locks on them. And it's pretty clear that the puzzles on these rooms are connected. The way they are signaled matches up. And looking at the information that I was given there and the way they were signaled, I had an immediate theory about, okay, I know what information I need to solve this puzzle. Now I need to figure out where to find this information. And sure enough, eventually I found exactly that information and was able to go back, solve each of those puzzles. I cannot recommend this game enough, particularly to Kodra and Tam.
This is probably next or soon on my list.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is so good.
Are any of the puzzles a weird cake?
No, that's the other thing. It's that, like I said, that basic framework is the seventh guest, but without the weird full motion video and with puzzles that make sense.
I just remember the tombstone cake thing was a pain.
Yes. And the cans in the pantry. The worst one in that game was the microscope puzzle. I eventually used the 7-Up branded spot game on the guy in the room next to me's computer to solve that puzzle by feeding the moves from the seventh guest into that game and vice versa.
So, maybe a leading question, but you said you beat the game. I'm presuming that means you saw credits, right?
Yes.
Does that mean the game is over then after you
Yes.
see credits?
Yes. This is a game that tells a story. Once it has told you the story, we are done.
Okay, neat.
That sounds refreshing. I could use that.
Yeah. And in particular, like the puzzles all connect to the story. They're not. That's the other thing. Like the puzzles in the Seventh Guest, they're kind of nonsense. These puzzles, they link up to things that are important. The solutions to these puzzles are things that you will want to remember in any case. And in fact, you will reach the point late in the game where you come across something where it's like, oh, I need something that fits this. Oh, I know some things that fit that are important. Let's try them.
There's the yeah. The thing that I find with some puzzles is it's like I don't fully understand how it was supposed to make the logical leaps to get here. And good puzzles, it's like, oh, I think this is the thing. Doing this thing is going to be hard, but let me try and figure out like the strategies to achieve these ends.
Mhm.
And then they work and it feels great.
Yeah, there were very few puzzles where like there was one thing that was like I'm not quite sure how to do this thing, but mostly like it was clear what I needed to do, and it was a matter of finding the necessary information to put together the solution. It's very much a game of finding documents and information, inscriptions, various things throughout the mansion, and collecting that information and putting it all together. And thankfully, very helpfully, your character has a photographic memory. So any document or inscription or anything that you come across that your character actually like would see, you can go into your character's memories basically and look at that document at any point from that point on. There are some things that you will want like a notebook to make some notes or to like solve a couple of the puzzles, but just the gathering information and keeping track of all that's taken care of within the game. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, I approve of puzzle games that allow you to make some notes for yourself, but give you access to as much as possible in the game.
Like there's a set of there's basically kind of like a quiz element at one point where you're having to answer some questions and it's made very clear. So one of the things that you're told, so you start the game standing next to your car in the European woods, and there you go. And you got to figure out from there what to do. You can interact with the car. That's a good first step. But so one of the things that you're told in when you find the kind of the instructions for the game are if somebody is pointing a gun at you, you need to think very carefully about what you say to them next. And in fact, in these situations, one of your options is let me consider, which takes you to your memories so that you can look through all of that. Another important thing that you are told is when somebody wearing an owl mask talks to you, listen to them very carefully. But yeah, is excellent game. I highly recommend it to anybody who enjoys puzzle games that actually tell an interesting story and make some philosophical points. Do be aware that injury to the eye motif crops up reasonably often over the course of the game. It's a recurring motif. Not directly to your character, though. We're not talking like a Dead Space thing. Just like occasional images.
So, speaking of puzzle games that don't have as much guidance, how are y'all doing with Blueprints?
So Blueprints has a ton of guidance.
Yeah.
It really does.
Clear.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting. Blueprints is probably I've been also comparing it to Mist and Riven because it has a shocking amount of storytelling.
Are we sure this isn't the prequel to Mist?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, I'm not that far into the game, but I've sure seen some things that made me think, could it be?
I don't know enough about Myst to answer this question.
I mean, there's a pair of brothers in a red book and a blue book, and
Oh,
Probably not.
probably not.
But boy, there are so many puzzle games I've played. I especially think of like The Witness here, where it's like I really enjoyed The Witness, but boy, did its navel gazing philosophy kind of lose me.
Hmm.
Blueprints just dispenses with the philosophy entirely in service of telling an incredibly vast story. Like for a puzzle game, the amount of story that I have been told and world building that has been done is just shocking. And I have sunk 78.7 hours into it.
Man.
It's also unsolved.
Like,
I mean, I feel like I'm having a slightly different experience, but I sunk maybe, I don't know, 12 hours in. And don't get me wrong, absolutely enjoying the heck out of it, but I don't know, not as captivated. I'll put it this way, when Last Epoch's patch dropped, I dropped blueprints like a hot potato and haven't looked back. But I was enjoying it while I was playing. And I don't know if it's that I am now too lazy and spoiled and struggling to solve the puzzles was just not doing it for me. But I really do love the mechanic of the estate and the way that the rooms change every day and the exploration factor of it. That probably more than the puzzles was what kept me continuing to play.
I also really enjoy just like assembling a manor each day. I think that there's like, from my perspective, there's like 3 distinct phases of blueprints for me, and the first phase is getting to the initial goal of the game.
I would say that there is. I would say that there is a couple other like sub phases in there
Yes.
because I'm going to try and figure out how much I think this is a spoiler. I guess it's not too much of a spoiler. There are things you can do that are permanent.
Yes.
And getting your first permanent change takes you from what I would consider the first phase into the second phase, which is, oh, things can permanently change.
Like I can do things that will carry forward. That's big.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely like that's definitely fair. Like realizing that that you can make permanent changes is a big one.
I think the other thing that marked like a demarcation for me, just in the way I was viewing the game, was it wasn't the first cutscene that I encountered, because that was in the security room. It was the second cutscene I encountered.
Was it the Rumpus Room?
It was the rumpus room. Yes, when suddenly like the lights went out and the cutscene began, I was like, what is happening? This is bigger than I thought.
It's got I'm currently caught up to as progressed as anyone is in the game. And it took me like trying to piece together the clues that I had and not figuring out like couldn't figure out how to turn that into a next step. For me to like, okay, let me just I have hit a point where I think the game may have told me I'm done, but I'm not totally sure.
Right.
So let me like go onto the Discord. The incredibly well run, I might add, Discord. They are very serious about spoilers in that Discord, and just they're very thoughtful about how you might play things. So I think it works really well. You have to, in order to get to progressively more story relevant, like potentially more like damaging spoilers if you get spoiled too early.
Mm-hmm.
They do a thing where you provide screenshot evidence that you have done a particular thing, and then you will get the role that gives you
Aha.
access to those channels,
Clever.
which works nicely. And it's the official thing, so they're very quick about giving people access. I accidentally short circuited a puzzle, and I appreciate that the game happily let me short circuit that puzzle. It's like, yep, you figured that out early, and you'll get some clues that help you back solve that puzzle. But yes, there's a point past which nobody has gotten.
Is there like a room full of people trying to solve this together?
There's the basically the entire like highest tier, like highest progressed group of people, like all they've been doing for the last week has been trying to figure out what the next puzzle step is.
So you were in fact correct. The game was telling you it's time for the sicko stuff.
Yes. There have been multiple distinct points that I've reached where, the first time was when credits initially rolled, where it was like, you know what? If you are satisfied, now's a good time to stop. It's totally reasonable to be satisfied. You did a good job. You could keep going. There is more, but it's pretty intense. And it was. And then I got to another point where it really felt like the game was explicitly telling me, like, bro, it's only true sickos past here. And boy, they weren't kidding. It is only true sickos past here. Like the puzzles you see early, I actually have come to be a little annoyed by, just because they're not showing me anything new, and they're not like, it's like I'm not that excited about another parlor brain teaser.
Right. Ever more complicated mathematics.
But the meta puzzles that are like more about observation are really, really satisfying and poetic. They fold back in on each other in really cool, satisfying ways. But yes, nobody's actually sure. There's like Jason Schreier is in the Discord. Also, like, I don't know if anybody's figured this out. We didn't. You've gotten past where the reviewers. You've gotten to the point where all the reviewers got to. Maybe you can find something we didn't. But it eventually gets to a point where it's painting a really cool picture, and it takes it is a slow burn to get there. Like, don't get me wrong. But right around the point that I was starting to be a little tired of the core loop mechanic, because I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm on like day 40 or 50. It's been good about throwing me a twist to say, hey, there's something else to do, some other thing that's going to bring you back into the house to try to figure out how to structure something or shape something, do something interesting. I have been inspired to write a tabletop campaign based on this setting.
So I am very excited for the tabletop campaign because the setting is fascinating. I have gotten to the credits and just a hint beyond them. And I might start going through that myself some more. Like, I'm very sucked into Last Epoch right now, but I don't know. It's super fun. And I still know like a bunch of stuff I need to do. Like, I still have a task list of to-do items. And again, the way the story is unfolding is actually quite fascinating.
I had read somewhere that the best way to play this game is like with a couple of other people, or like in a small group. So especially with people who have like different perspectives on things, because it stops any single puzzle from feeling overwhelming. And I can totally see that. I definitely beat my head against some puzzles for a lot longer than I think I would have if I had like not been totally like mostly soloing it. But I do think that there's some like there's so much cool to see that it sometimes I think it's worth like, you know what, I'm gonna skip this puzzle. Like I really need this thing to stop being frustrating. Just moving on with it is fine. There's enough in here. There's a lot in here.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest challenge is actually the mechanics of drafting a room when you're trying to force certain things. And right now I'm still in a mode where I like, even having beaten the game, now that I beat the game, I am out of the mode of I need to solve for X, and I'm back to I can just go and make a bunch of manners, and I don't have any specific thing. I'm back to discovery mode. Like when you're trying to get to the stated objective, you're definitely feeling the like, is this a run where I can actually achieve my objective?
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, all right, I've achieved that objective. I have like 6 different objectives that are side things I want to figure out. And if I figure them out, I figure them out. And if I don't, oh well. Like, let's see if something else pops up that's interesting. Also, like, I will say, like, any game that has any amount of time tracking should indicate to you that there is no time pressure.
Yeah.
Or should indicate to you that there is time pressure.
Yeah, if in fact there is.
Unspecified amounts of time pressure are anxiety inducing. And I'm pretty sure now there's no time pressure.
I mean, I've been running on the assumption that there isn't.
But definitely, like, there was a moment when I thought I had to, like, I was like, for some reason in my head trying to accomplish my goals within a month's time, and I was like, there's no chance I'm going to do this. And in fact, I did not, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, I'm still fairly early in the game, so right now I'm mostly in the point of I'm trying to get an idea of the rules for where exactly certain rooms are allowed, because it's clear that they exist. Like some of them have been stated very explicitly that I found, but there's also like it certainly seems like there are some rooms that just you can't get them until you're far enough into the house.
I am not going to comment unless you want me to.
No, that's
Please
fine.
don't.
Cool.
But like, you know, I have the immediate goal of I apparently need to gain access to the office now because I have a reason to I have a thing I need to do there. But then also like awareness of some interactions between rooms that I don't have an explicit need that I am aware of to make use of this interaction, but if the opportunity arises, then I'll do it because probably it serves a purpose.
Yeah, I hit a button, and that was probably important.
Mm-hmm.
Could I tell you how it's important? No, but it's probably important.
I definitely appreciate that. So far, my experience has been once I've solved a room puzzle, like a puzzle to make a room do the thing the room does, that appears to just remain solved for future days. Like I don't have. I mean, it's barely a puzzle, but I don't have to move the telescope every day. I don't have to turn the boiler back on. This is good. I was really worried after going through all the steps of, you know, of activating the boiler that like, oh God, am I going to have to do this every day that I get this room?
I appreciate the level of there are enough hints for puzzles in enough places, like the meta puzzles in enough places that you can figure out like how you can figure them out even if you don't find like the specific solution, like the specific path to the solution that they're suggesting to you. But there's not it's not so much that you're like, oh, I feel like it's just telling me what all the answers are.
Yeah.
I did discover on like day 60 that a room that I had been passing through constantly because it was one of my favorite rooms did in fact have something that I didn't even realize was in it.
was amused when on the first day I discovered like, oh, okay, this is a thing that I need to find. Okay, I will keep an eye out for clues to find this thing. And then one of the rooms that I drafted that day was the mail room. And the second day I got my mail. And one of the things in the mail was the magnifying glass.
Aha.
And I found the thing that I needed.
Yup.
Just using the magnifying glass.
I love the magnifying
Much more
glass.
straightforward than I had expected.
I've run into, I think, I want to call it two things that I think are bullshit, which is pretty impressive for a puzzle game of this magnitude.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be clear, and one of them is an extremely late game thing. But yeah, I really want to know what the end is. Like when have we squeezed the juice out? Because there sure is a lot of juice hidden in here. The one that I will say that I checked out of because I was like, this is nonsense, I'm done, is memos.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. I can see that.
Yeah, I'm just like furious about memos. But other than that, it's fine.
It's all fine.
But yeah, it is. I absolutely love this game. I think it has grabbed me. Like I hit a certain point and it grabbed me in a way that I haven't been grabbed by a game in like legitimately over a decade. And I would say if you're reaching the point where like I'm frustrated by this puzzle, it is absolutely worth like there's going to be more puzzles. Feel free to skip that puzzle and move on to the next one because it's probably pretty cool. There's a ton of story.
Well, that is all of our topics. Any short topics anybody has? Okay. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.